This week on the Stogie Geeks Show, live from the Villiger North American Studios, right here in beautiful Warwick, Rhode Island, we interview Brenda McDuff. She's the manager of Havana Cigar Club over in Warwick. And we're also joined by our Stogie Geeks production manager, our Stogie Geeks production engineer, Mark Anderton, who became an avid Stogie Geek as well, just from hanging out with us. And later on in the show, we're going to pair cigars with wine and talk about that in the summer months, because sometimes you don't want spirits so much, or maybe you had too much spirits and you want to downshift, so you have some wine. We have some options for you. And later on, Stogies of the Week. Stay tuned.
This is a Security Weekly production. Broadcasting live from Villiger North American Studios, it's the show where cigars burn slow, ashes fall fast, and cocktails flow steady. It's the Stogie Geeks Show.
Many of you don't like the Patriots, and quite frankly, those of us on the show today don't really care. Then we're gonna. Joe Hollywood joins us. Welcome, Joe.
How are you?
He's on point.
What's up, boys?
It's definitely a cigar. What's going on? Yeah, we need that.
It's
like a classy straw. It's like all metal and stuff.
That's a stainless steel straw.
It's already bent. Don't try and bend it anymore because it's metal.
You're so strong, Joe. Bend that straw.
Brought to you by
Havana Cigar Club, located in Warwick, Rhode Island, is a great place to enjoy a drink and a cigar. Stogie Geeks listeners can find a $5 off coupon on our website by clicking the HCC logo.
Welcome to the Stogie Geek Show. I am your host this week, Joe Hozempa. Paul is out this week, and hopefully he'll be back with us next week. I am joined by Brenda McDuff. She is the manager over at Havana Cigar Shop next door. We're going to talk about the cigar industry and get her take on some of the future stuff about the industry that's rapidly changing, and it's going crazy. And there are some times within an industry where I really feel that you must take a quick time out and just analyze what's going on, especially with the pivot of the current administration, changing the FDA leader, what the future of that holds. And also, we are joined by Mark Anderton, who is the Stogie Geeks production engineer.
Hello, glad to be on the show again.
Thanks for coming. And we're going to talk about the last segment will be our Stogies of the Week. Mark and I will get into that. The second segment, after we have the interview with Brenda, we're going to be talking about pairing cigars with wine, because it happens a lot, especially on this show. Paul and company always usually pair stuff with spirits, right? And so what happens is you do have other options. So coming pretty soon, we are going to be talking about pairing cigars with craft beer. And the next segment, we're going to start the conversation about pairing it with wine. I broke the wine down into a few categories, white and red, to make it easy to start the process. And what we are going, and Brenda it wants to begin that pouring of the wine pretty soon. So with that said, we are having a Charles & Charles Riesling, and it's from Washington State. And I have a few wine tips there. One of the things I do want to talk about when it comes to wine and cigars, I'm passionate about cigars, as you know. I have a background with cigars, but I'm also passionate about craft beer and wine and a little bit of spirits. I don't know as much about the spirits process as much as I do about brewing craft beer. I've actually done a bunch of brews there with experience, and we'll get to that later on within the Stogie Geeks segment. But I do want to take the time out to talk about the wine, but we are going to pour the wine. So Brenda, you mind if I pour you a glass?
Yes.
And full disclosure on this wine, I was thinking about what to pair it with. Now, you would normally pair I will tell you from experience, it's a lot easier to pair wine with to pair cigars with a red wine. So I wanted a challenge, right, for the show. So the challenge for the show is, well, if it's easier, then we could just do it and then it'd be easier. But I wanted to pair a cigar with a white wine. Okay, and so I chose a Riesling, and I chose it from Washington State because in the wine industry, right, just to let you know, they slide that down, just to let you know that like cigars that have a region, so we have cigars that come from Dominica, we have cigars that come from Nicaragua, we have cigars that come from all various brands and blends, right? Wine has that same way. So if you want to fail safe, anything from Washington State tends to be, in my opinion, gigantic on the palate. So what that means is that if it's going to be a Riesling, it's not going to be subtle. It's going to be right there. We're going to continue that on the second segment, but now we're going to get to Brenda's interview.
Ooh.
Brenda.
Yeah.
I'm excited to have you over here.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you for joining us.
You're welcome.
How long have you been in the cigar business?
About 9 years now.
9 years now.
Yep.
And has it all been lounges?
Yeah, some were just beer and wine.
Mm-hmm.
Some were just cigars, no liquor. And at Havana, we have a full bar, plus a fully stocked humidor. So, there's a little more pairing going on with a place like that than some of the other shops I used to work at. So.
Yep. Do you do a lot of pairings with some of the people? Or?
Yeah, it depends. A lot of the guys will come in the last, this is why I like to smoke. Whether it's something in a fuller body, something lighter, what would go well with that. So we do a lot of Scotch pairings, a lot of bourbon pairings. Pete's throwing me off. But, yeah, you know what? It just depends on the customer. Some guys don't want to drink the Scotch or the bourbon. They want to do a wine or a beer. So it's trying to open up the bar to new drinks. We got a new drink menu going in, geared more towards summer drinks and stuff that will pair well with cigars. Some more spicy drinks, some stuff that's a little sweeter, to give people a little more variety on drinks than when they're smoking.
You actually need that because when I'd met with Mark on Friday, we had spoken to what are you all right over there? Do you need another cigar?
Maybe later.
Okay.
The entire wrapper just came off.
Oh boy. Okay, moving on. If we can get another cigar for Mark over here, that'd be great. One of the things, just full disclosure, we were going to do a Bloody Mary tasting thing today. But after the past couple of days I had to backpedal. So the point being is that, sometimes you can't go, Scotch bourbon, cigar, Scotch bourbon. You can, but sometimes your palate gets shot.
Yep.
You want something different.
Yep.
And so I think that it's really good to pair it out there.
Yeah, exactly.
But let's get to how I want your take on the industry. I guess we can look at it from a Rhode Island level. And then we can take it outside of Rhode Island because I do think that there is a parallel road there. Rhode Island has its own unique cigar community. There are a ton of shops with a bunch of variety out there for the consumer. And then we'll get your take on the FDA. So 8 years ago.
Yep.
Describe to me what a shop was, because I can do the same thing, because I used to own a cigar shop over in Providence about 12 years ago.
Yep.
And so, I want to get a visual so we can kind of get our take and then see, how it's changed, for that, because it certainly has changed.
Oh, yeah.
So 8 years ago.
8 years ago.
Okay. You were a little shorter, or you were the same? Or?
Same height.
Okay,
same
there
height,
you go.
Same height. No, when I first started, I started at a little cigar shop. We had a very small walk-in humidor, maybe 20, 30 boxes to choose from, just beer and wine.
Okay.
So, it's actually a good place to start out with something small like that, because you really can get your bearings on trying different cigars with different beers, different wines, stuff like that. Like you said, most of the guys tend to go towards the red wine with their cigars, but occasionally you get Not much so then, but now getting a lot more women smokers in.
True.
And they tend to go more towards the white wines. So, it's trying to find that even balance of something they want to smoke and something they want to drink at the same time.
What about the consumer's search for knowledge? So, in other words, 8 years ago, in my opinion, right, consumer walked in, they mostly went with a classic facing, right? There wasn't that big of a boutique revolution, as I dub it now, where these boutiques are you as a manager, I'm sure every other day a new cigar is banging on your door, a new cigar company.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So we'll get to that, and then you can describe to us what that's like, you know, because some of the boutiques are really, really good, and some of them are, well, they're not good, but, they need to age. And I have a problem with if a cigar shop purchases something, and then this is a really great stick, but you should buy it and then have it wait for 6 months.
Yeah.
Like normally, especially in lounge life, right, where people want to come to a lounge and purchase a cigar, spirit, wine, coffee, whatever, and smoke today. Yeah. You really can't say, hey, if you buy this one and put this in your humidor for 6 months, but smoke this one, so then they buy it. It just, consumer-wise, it just doesn't make any sense.
Well, I think versus 8 years ago, you didn't have as many people on their phones Googling the cigar, and there wasn't so much social media interaction where you can go on to like these different fan sites of cigars, and everyone's sharing all the different stuff they smoked. So yeah, it was more people coming in looking for the big names, and versus now where they have so much access to so much other stuff. And it's not just boutique stuff. Even with like some of the bigger companies, when stuff comes in, you got to think, with their packaging, their shipping it takes time. A lot of companies have been actually adding the Boveda packs to their cigar boxes to keep them a little more fresh while they're being shipped and going through FDA and stuff like that. So it's holding stuff up a little bit longer. So regardless of whether it's a new cigar or a boutique cigar or, just something classic I've been selling for almost 10 years, sometimes once it gets in your humidor, you need to give it a little time regardless. I like to say at least a week, get it back into my humidor, get it acclimated, get it going, and then sell. But like I said, with the surge of the social media, as soon as something big comes out, as soon as it gets into my hands, people are banging on your door. Where's that cigar? Where's that cigar? Where's that cigar? And it's like, yo, chill.
Especially because the cigar company or the cigar rep is saying, hey, go check out this cigar at Havana, or go check out this cigar at X shop or whichever. And they see it on social media, Instagram, Facebook, whichever, and then it gets to be like, oh, I'm going to go there today, and then I'm going to get it. And then because the internet, right, it's a double-edged sword. And help me out, any of you little whippersnappers who use it more than we do.
Yeah, right.
Right?
I can't even get on, so.
It's just, it's one of those things where, the internet said that this cigar was available here, and I want it now.
Yep.
That creates a challenge for certainly over 8 years ago.
Yep.
I found out that about eight years ago, social media was there, but it wasn't a major factor quite yet. As opposed to now, it seems to be maybe the biggest factor.
Yep.
There. 8 years ago, if a couple of publications wrote an article about a cigar, that was the post, the immediate post, So, especially when Cigar Aficionado would do its top 25, you want to make sure that your cigar shop has at least 10 of the 25 if you can do it. Because there will be random people who would come in, especially when the weather breaks. It's kind of weird because they announce the cigars towards the end of the year. But here in New England, the weather breaks. Well, it's supposed to break in March, but anywho, right? But the weather breaks in June, right? Over on Memorial Day. So what happens is, you kind of have that 6 months lag, but yet the demand for that product is still present, even if publications like Cigar Aficionado had published it.
Oh yeah,
definitely.
So back then it was more blog posts and not as much like forums like you do on Facebook, or no?
Like 9 years ago, not even blog stuff. Like literally, people would pick up Cigar Aficionado, Cigar Snob, whatever they're reading. Oh,
Press
see
wasn't
that?
around,
You know what I mean?
journal
It was
wasn't around.
what they would see in the book. Oh, that looks good. Oh, that got a rating. That got a, this or that. So then they'd come in looking for that exact smoke. And honestly, 8, 9 years ago, it was a lot easier to have those cigars in because it was the same cigar companies that you're dealing with all the time.
Right.
Now it's you get thrown into the mix with the new stuff, and it's, well, I haven't had any samples sent to me on that. I haven't been able to try it. I don't know if I want to bring in X amount of boxes of something that I don't know if I could sell or not. So, it's, and even with the social media, as soon as you put something up, people start hitting you up. Can you get this? Can you get that? Or can you bring my samples in? Can you bring my cigars in? This and this, that. So then you got to try to find that happy balance of keeping everyone happy. Like, yeah, I will give you a shot, but I can't guarantee anything all the time. You know what I mean? Your humidor can only hold so much cigars. We do have the largest walk-in humidor in Rhode Island at Havana. But even then, I'm playing Tetris, looking for spaces on the shelf to put some of these new stuff out. So like I said, usually when something comes in, whether it's new or something we've carried for a while, it goes under the bottom for a little bit, let it get some time before it gets put out. Just to make sure when I'm selling a cigar, I always like to stand behind our cigars. We always want our customers to get something that has a nice draw. It's going to burn well for you. So if something isn't doing that for you, we will exchange it out for either a new one or something else in that category for you. Like I said, it's all depends on how long it takes for the shipment to come in from when you ordered. So, like I said, to give people the best quality cigars for their money, we like to let stuff sit, let it age in our humidor, let it get acclimated.
What's the process of that? Do you receive samples beforehand, or do you not always receive samples?
It depends.
Do you order them personally, or does?
I'm not going to order samples from companies I've never dealt with and be like, yeah, I'm going to order a couple samples. Like, look, if you reach out to me and you say, look, I own this company and I've got these cigars I think would work well in your humidor, yeah, come in. Bring me some samples, ship me some samples, let me try them first. And then I'll take that into consideration. If it's something I know I have a decent customer base that would like to try those cigars, that would be interested in like their flavor profiles, that's something we consider bringing in. Sometimes just as nice as these people are in this industry, I find that this industry has a really lot of great people working in it. We're all working towards the same goal, get the consumer the best cigars you can give them, and as many options as you can hold in your humidor. But like I said, not everyone's going to make the cut. And, sometimes you feel bad having to tell people, look, this is, it's not that it's not a good cigar, but it's maybe I don't have the customer base to move this cigar, depending on whatever the blend is, whatever they're using. So you kind of have to play good cop, bad cop sometimes, with them. So it's like, every now and then you got to be the bad guy and be like, look, this isn't something we're really going to consider. I don't like to waste people's time. They've got so much other stuff to worry about. I'm not going to beat around the bush. Yeah, I'll bring it in, bring it in, and then never bring it in. I don't think that's fair to the companies. I don't think that's fair to reps. You know what I mean? If it's just something I'm not going to consider, I will let them know so they're not wasting their time coming in, and trying to push it.
Both of you bring up a couple of great points, okay? Mark, your first point was, what's the process? Brenda could literally sit at Havana Club and reps will just come to her. So she'll never have to reach out and say, I want to try it, because it's always, hey, try our product, try it.
Oh, yeah.
It's constant. So even 8 years ago or 12 years ago when I had the shop, or up to a year and a half ago when I worked in the shop, 3-4 times a week at least there's a new cigar company coming in. with something new, or
Wow.
a older cigar company coming in and saying, "Hey, we used to be X, now we've merged with that," and we'll get to that the conversation, right? Or here's our new blend. This is new and invented and whatnot.
Yeah.
What's also a point that I think that you're bringing up, which I think is fascinating, that in my opinion most cigar shops don't do regionally. So I do traveling for work, right?
Yeah.
Mostly it's from South Carolina all the way up to Maine. So it's that eastern segment. I've been to a ton of cigar shops in their sense. And what I notice is that the manager or the humidor person who's responsible for the humidor they need to know what their customer's palate is. As opposed to what's brand new and trendy on the market.
Yep.
And I think that from a business perspective, that is such a mishap. If you own a cigar shop and your cigar, like I can say with great confidence, Brenda could name at least 5 cigars that are in my palate range, right? As opposed to some Stogie Geeks listeners who've been watching me for 6 months maybe couldn't. Or they kind of know where I'm going through. And the point of the conversation is that, when a rep comes to a manager like Brenda, and 8 years ago, she had limited choices. She still had choices, but there were choices. Now she has probably, 3 times as much choices, at least.
Someone sent me an email yesterday.
Right?
About it.
So you have all these.
Should be samples. Yeah. Okay.
So you have all these choices, and then she has to make a decision as I like it, right? But I know it's not going to sell in the humidor, and that's a tough choice to make.
That's another issue. I find that a lot of people in this industry. Certain people will smoke stuff and they'll say, well, I really like this. I enjoy this cigar. If your palate is super fine, you can pick up every little hint and note in that cigar, and that might be right in your wheelhouse as a manager or as someone bringing in cigars. That's all well and good, but you really got to, like you said, know your consumers. I find that the average consumer isn't going to pick up those slight nuances of every little flavor that, they're blending towards. So, like I said, just because I like something doesn't mean my customers are going to like it. So, you're always careful about, is it something I like that I know I can sell and put people in, or is it something that I like and don't think other customers will enjoy as much? And then there's been some cigars that I've smoked that I haven't been crazy about, but I know 10, 20 guys that would love this stick. And I'm like, okay, well, you know what? Let's give that a shot, because I know so will come in and try it and give it a shot and try and enjoy it. So
right. And then your customer who will come in and say, hey.
I can't fill a humidor with everything I like. You know what I mean? It has to be knowing your customer base. And knowing what they want to spend on a cigar too is a big issue with people. People come in, well, I'm looking between the $6 and $8 range, or I'm looking between the 10 and 12. So I may have something that's a little under, a little over their price range, but if I know that cigar was work for them, I'll push them to try it. And I would say 80% of the time, it's a hit.
Yep.
Sometimes you'll get that miss. Everyone's different, everyone's palate's different, but like I said, you got to find that happy medium between what you like and what your customers like. Obviously, it's always easier to sell something you like, but I don't want to push the only things I smoke onto people. You know what I mean?
Price point is big.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
The biggest thing I see is sometimes you'll have people come in and you'll know them by name and you know exactly what they're looking for, and they come in and they know what they're looking for, so it's easier for you. But then even better, there are new people that come in, like they bring a friend or something, and they don't know what they want, but they tell you what cigar they smoked before and what they like, and you already know what their palate's like.
Well, yeah.
And that's like, as you said, that's what a
you tell me you smoked, this cigar.
Yep.
What did you like about that cigar?
Yep.
What didn't you like about that cigar? All right, well, then now you've just eliminated half my humidor right there with what you told me.
So question.
So it's easier to pinpoint what to put them in when you get a real gauge on it. I like to ask people a lot of questions.
Right.
I don't want to just walk in big head and think, oh, I know exactly what you'll love to smoke. Try this. No, you tell me what you like to smoke, and I will point you in that direction.
Question: do you go through that process more than 8 years ago, or do you go through it now?
Yeah. 8 years ago, it was a lot of, I sound rude, like a lot of the older smokers, you know what I mean? I've been smoking for 30-odd years, and, you know, this is what I like, and I only smoke this. So, you know, you open the humidor, and they go right for the same stick.
Yep.
Or they go right to that brand they know. You know, they might move around a couple lines in that brand, but it used to be a lot harder to move people off what they always smoked. I find it now with the different companies and boutique companies that you can move them into stuff like that and get them to enjoy it. But like I said, you really have to know your product.
Right.
I tell even the girls that bartend there, you want something to smoke, go in the humidor, go into my locker, grab something, smoke it, know what it tastes like. So when someone says, oh, I'm looking for this, well, I smoked this. It's awesome. Try this.
See, that's what drives
Give you
me
something. You know what I mean?
Right, exactly. That's what drives me crazy about lounge life, and I guess we can about lounge life. You know, you walk into some lounges, and the humidor person, guy or girl, doesn't matter, doesn't know, and it's like at a lounge. If you created a lounge as opposed to a BYOB shop or a cash and carry shop, you got to know your product.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Period.
There's nothing, period. Like, because I'm the consumer, and it's not, okay, sure, co-host of Stogie Geeks, I might know a little bit more than the average consumer. Used to own a cigar shop in Providence, I might know, sure. No. I'm passionate about my cigar time, right? Because my cigar time, like everyone else's time, is limited. And what drives me nuts is with we have a double revolution, in my opinion, coming here in Rhode Island. We have lounge life revolution, which we have shops that were cash and carry now trying to make that metamorphosis change to a lounge.
Yep.
And we have the boutique revolution of all the boutique as opposed to the classic facings fighting for the shelf space.
Yeah.
Right? And then we have consumers who are technically, according to all three of us, more educated or have more access to the company's information than 8 years ago, but yet someone like Brenda or a manager of any other cigar shop who knows their product has to still ask those questions.
Yep.
So there's it's like technology created a gap, right? Technology created more consumer education, but yet the consumer still comes in asking for questions.
Is the differences between reading and experience.
Sure.
Like you can talk all you want. Oh, this is binder. This is the filler. This is what it tastes like. This is the flavor. This is the origin. But if you've never tried it, you can spew out any words you want, and it won't matter. And you're going to give the consumer the wrong product because you've never tried it before.
That's the point, and I think that's the point here. You know, you take a podcast like this. That's the point. You know, Paul and Joe, when they come in, and myself, we give our opinions. We interview a guest. They give their opinions. But at the action item is that you need to take action and experience it for yourself. You know, we may give some recommendations, but you know, you want to try it for yourself.
Yeah.
Lounge life, is it driving you crazy yet? Or
No, I love the lounge life.
You like it better than
lounge lizard? Yeah. When I'm not at work, I'm at another cigar shop smoking. I do that because, like I said, I can't carry everything. I can carry a lot.
Over 600 facings, right?
Actually, I was last time I did inventory, 888 facings.
Nice.
Okay.
That's Havana Cigar Club over in Warwick.
Right? But I always like to stop into other shops. And usually when I go into other shops, like I said, I never say I work at this shop. I don't walk in trying to school anybody or teach them how to do their job. I like going in and experiencing other shops. You know, thank God for shelf talkers in some places, because if not, you know, it's like they're literally reading it like, oh, well, this cigar is like this. And I'm like, oh, well,
great,
I can read too, you know.
Yeah, that drives me nuts. It drives
me read well. You know, I get it. Yeah, I get it.
Mark, it drives me bananas. like completely banana. Because if you walk into a lounge, you expect a certain amount of service than if you walk into like Joe's Tobacco, right? And so you have a lounge, and some of the workers, you've been warned. You must know your product. You have to know your product.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But that's another question I get.
What's that?
When people come in, I start asking them questions and I explain stuff to them. I'll explain wrappers and what they taste like and this and that, what they expect to get out of that cigar. It's people ask me, well, how do you know all this? How do you know all this? I'm like, I smoke them.
Your experience.
I go, it's the best way to know your product. Know your product. Smoke it.
Right.
That's how you know your product. That's how you sell. You know what I mean? You're not going to be in any industry, you know what I mean, and be like, oh, how do you like that? Well, I don't know. I've never tried it, so, good luck to you.
Yeah.
But, it's, like I said, it's pick something up, try it. See what you like about it. See what you don't like about it. So then when they ask you and they give you those likes or dislikes, you can kind of narrow your way through, especially even with a large humidor like that.
Right.
By the time a few questions asked, I've come down to maybe 20 cigars that I know would fit right into their profile. And then I kind of let it be up to them. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Here are my suggestions, but I'm not going to say, you got to smoke this, you got to smoke this.
Right.
I'm not going to push anything on you.
Right.
But I'm going to give you options so you make a choice. That way, whether you like it or not, I can go, okay, well, what didn't you like about that cigar? Out of those 20, this one's more geared like that. Try this one next time. You know what I mean? We're really good about it, honestly. If I make a recommendation, I have guys that will be like, Brenda, send me into humidor. I'll grab something different from them. Good amount of time they like it. Mm-hmm. But sometimes they'll say, I liked it, but I didn't like this about it. So now I know what you didn't like or if that had too much pepper. Right. I know not to put you into something that has too much of that.
Say pepper again?
Or pepper.
Pepper. I like it.
Pepper.
Pepper,
sweater, coffee.
I like it. What?
Joe, let me ask you a question.
Yes.
So, when you go into a cigar shop, I know you're looking for somebody who's smoked the cigars before and they understand their inventory.
Yep.
But what if you go into a cigar shop where they don't know their inventory? Do you continue to go there and do you get upset, or do you try to figure it out, or do you talk them out?
No. Well, first of all, great two-part question, right? Two-part question, in my opinion, right? What I think is, if you don't know your product, right, don't perpetrate like you do know your product. You know what I mean? I think that's the best course of action. Let the consumer. What'd you say? I can't hear with the headphones. Right? Let the consumer make the decision for himself or herself if you don't know. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Because what drives me crazy is when they don't know and they like, so what are you smoking today? I'm like, a cigar. Like, you know what I mean? Because I'm a type of consumer, honestly. I like to see what's in the humidor, okay? Because, every time I go to a cigar shop and I visit probably 3, 4, 5 different ones a week, right? Just because I'm always on the road with my job, and I visit them. I always like to smoke something that's either new to me or a rekindled like to me, right? Because as you know, on some of the Stogie Geeks, I'm not a fan of half the stuff that's out there, right? So, but I'm also not a fan where I want to have blinders on either. I think that a lot of the consumers do have that. So, I think that, where my pet peeve is that you always have, if someone who they're trying to push something on you and they know nothing about the palate and they don't want to have the conversation about the palate, okay? But I don't want to turn this into a negative, okay? Right? Well, I want to talk about, I want to spin it into, okay, we talked a little bit about lounge, and my take on the lounge. Now let's bring it outside of Rhode Island.
Yeah.
What do you think is going to happen in the industry in the next 2 years? And then, obviously, FDA comes up in every interview. So we no guest gets never asked a question.
Never asked a question.
Yeah.
But before we get to that, I kind of want to go back to the lounge situation.
Sure, I guess.
I noticed that my biggest thing, and it can be a big turnoff. It's a turnoff for me. and other customers when you walk into certain lounges, whether they know their product or not, to just first view of somebody. I get it all the time being a woman. Walk into a different shop. First thing I'm asked is, I've got some flavored stuff. What would you like? Don't assume you know your smoker before you know your smoker. That is my biggest thing, is that it's the first thing I walk in as a woman and you want to show me, your acid lines. Like, look, I'm not saying I don't like acid, but honestly, sometimes too sweet for me. Unless I'm drinking a black cup of coffee and I like the bitter with the sweet, it's too much for me, too much sweetness. But that's the thing, is you get that in a lot of different shops, especially if men are running the humidor. It's the first thing you want to smoke. Like, I was at a cigar shop just a couple nights ago, a different shop. I was smoking Black Diamond Preferito. Girl comes up to me, she goes, "You're smoking that? Oh, good for you." I'm like, "Well, good for me." I go, "I've been smoking for 9 years." She goes, "I wasn't even old enough to smoke 9 years ago."
Listen,
I go, "Now you're aging me and surprised I'm smoking a full body cigar."
take a page
now
out of
I'm
my
double pissed. But, don't
take a page out of my book. Listen, Chica, take your passive-aggressive behavior somewhere else.
like, don't assume you know them before you actually do know them.
Right.
Ask them questions, find out what they like first. Don't just, a woman walks in and says, I never do it to women, because I've been in that situation. A woman comes in, I ask them, what are you looking for? What do you like to smoke? Stuff like that. That way when she goes, oh, yeah, I know, I like, the tatuajes, or I like this or that. I know. Guess what? I'm not going to be like, here are my acid lines of, flavored stuff, or Tatiana flavored rum, or, I'm not going to show them that stuff because that's not in their profile.
Right.
So I just, word-wise, never make an assumption on someone just by whether their appearance, a younger kid coming in, 18, 19, 20-year-olds. They may not be able to drink, but doesn't mean they haven't been smoking cigars enough where automatically they walk in and you're like, all right, you must be smoking something mild or flavored because you haven't been smoking that long.
Yeah, get the flat brim hat
Everyone's
sideways. Yo, man,
different.
Kuba's over there in the corner.
Yeah, exactly. Some people, it doesn't take them years to build up a palate to a full body cigar.
Sure.
Some people can just walk in and know they like something medium plus, full, and that's what they like to smoke. I never like to assume I know before I know you.
And speaking of ladies, you have a ladies' night at Havana.
We do.
Okay.
Wednesday nights after 6 o'clock. If ladies come in, it's 50% off their drinks. You don't have to buy a cigar. But, if you want to hang out and smoke, we will help you find a cigar to pair with whatever drink you want. And like I said, 50% off. So even if couples want to come in, we want that atmosphere where it's not, I got to escape from my wife and just hang out at the cigar bar. You know what I mean?
I like it.
We want it where she's comfortable enough to come in.
Right.
With our air system. With our environment, our filtration system, we have a fresh air exchange, so you're never sitting in the smoke. Ladies are more apt to come in and sit and hang because they're not going to leave smelling like an ashtray. They can get signature cocktails, different mixed drinks, stuff like that. And they can feel comfortable there. It's a good group of people. We have a really great staff. Our girls work really hard to make sure everyone feels comfortable and not just the guys. So we encourage, especially Saturday nights, we're going to probably try to do like couples nights. Bring your wives in. Let them enjoy it too. Let them, we want people to, if your husband loves smoking cigars and you're kind of iffy about it, we want you to enjoy that life with him as well.
Right.
Feel comfortable. Come in, hang out, try something new.
Right.
I've had more girls come in just for ladies' night for the 50% off drinks after 6 on Wednesdays and go, you know what, while I'm here, I'll try a cigar.
Right.
Great.
After a while.
Perfect.
Yeah, right.
Let's go in the humidor and find you something to smoke.
Right.
I love that. I love opening people up to cigars if they've been either hesitant or against it. And like I said, it's you want to be with your wife on date night, Saturday night, after dinner, bring her in for a drink.
Right.
Have a cigar.
What do you think about the Riesling?
The Riesling's good. A little dry, a little sweet. Pairs well with my Maduro.
I
like it.
Right?
Not bad.
But see, you can't go all Rieslings. You got to do a Riesling from Washington State. But we'll get into that over in the next segment over there. The future. FDA. Has it got people in hysteria? What do you think?
Yeah. Sensitive subject. You know, you get the reps that come in. Well, I can't give you a sample right now because of this and that, and people are looking and all this. I'm like, God, I hate that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I back in the day where you're like, oh, here's 4 cigars for you to smoke and tell me what you like. Let me know. You know what I mean? Because of those restrictions, it makes it a little harder now than it was 8 years ago.
I remember the glory days when they would come in and the rep would say, you know, can I pass out
cigars to your customers, and try this,
that are hanging around, and you'd be like, by all
My
means.
one rule is if they already bought a cigar, you can give them one. But if they're just
that's another pet peeve. Like, see,
pet peeve. Oh, pet peeve. Yeah, you coming in and taking up a chair for free.
You're not taking up a chair. You're not taking no, because if they really like it, I mean, it's your target audience.
Yeah.
Like, you know, but then you get to say, oh, I would look if you got a box. These I would buy a box, and then the shop buys a box, and then and they're done. You know what I mean? I know. It's
so to like connect the FDA to Havana.
Yep.
If you were to go in as the, like, you know, the show Undercover Boss, do you think you'd see what you're talking about now? Would you go in as not Brenda, and you would go into your cigar shop into Havana? What would make it stand out from the others? Stand out from the other humidors? What would you go in? Would you see?
Well, one, I cannot walk into that shop without someone knowing who I am.
Sure.
Which is tough. But, you know, if I wanted to get all, like, makeup up and different and walk in, you know, undercover boss style.
Would you see what you're talking about?
What I would notice is, like I said, and it's not just because I work there.
Get no names.
I've worked at a couple different shops. I've been to a lot of different shops. I've smoked at a lot of different shops. And sometimes I just stop in places, grab and smoke at home. What I like about it's the environment, the atmosphere, the energy level. Our bartenders are always around, making sure you always have a fresh drink, you always have a fresh cigar, a clean ashtray. That makes a big difference to people. When you walk in, you sit down, and there's ash left from the last people and cigars in your ashtray. You know, you're kind of like, ooh, dirty ashtray. You know, what's with that? We have our girls running around rotating. We have a couple humidor attendants to make sure things are clean. When you walk in, you have a fresh ashtray. You know, stuff like that. Those little nuances make a difference in lounges. Nothing more I hate than sitting down at a bar or in a chair and literally being like, can you empty this ashtray?
Yeah, sure. Lazy. Oh,
you know
that drives me nuts.
So, you know, we try
nuts,
to stay on top of everything at all times. And like I said, it might be a little biased to some people, you know, oh, well, you work there, you're the manager, blah, blah. It's not even that. I'm not saying other shops don't do it. I've walked into plenty of great shops in this state, and they've been right on top of their stuff. Everything's clean, everything's taken care of. But we really like to push for that. We always want the customer to come in, feel like family, feel comfortable, get the best cigars they can, get the best drinks they can, and always have a clean ashtray in front of them.
Awesome. I have one question for you before we wrap up the segment. I have one more question. What do you think the future of the industry with all these boutiques is going to be? Excluding FDA. Like, I know we can say, well, you know, if FDA does this, and this. I'm talking, you know, let's go 5, 6 years out. What do you think?
Well, you've done 10. Do you see another 10 years?
Oh, my God. It's so difficult right now. Every time I flip on to check out what's going on with the FDA, I actually had one of my reps come in last week. And he said, first one getting hit by FDA is this cigar. And the cigar he was talking about actually happened to be one of my more popular cigars, newer blend. It was something that actually one of their cigars was tweaked on a recommendation of one of my members when they were down there for their members-only trip. You know, he tried the cigar and he said, ooh, if you added a little bit more of this or a little pepper of that, would really make that cigar stand out. So they actually reblended that on a recommendation from one of my members.
Wow.
And, you know, we were really surprised by that. You know, it felt really good knowing that not just the people that work there, but my customers know what they like and what they expect from a cigar. So when I was told, you know, this will be one that's going to be disappearing because of FDA, it leaves you sad. Because it's like, God damn it, man, I just tried that cigar, loved it, and now you're going to say it's not going to be something I'll be able to get. I find it unfair. I find it you know, you got a lot of these people that have never smoked, they've never been into a lounge, and they're the first ones to jump on the bandwagon of, yeah, push that through. You know, cut it back. Oh, kids are smoking that. You know, I don't get 16-year-old kids coming into my shop asking me for, you know, a League of 9.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
give me a break.
Yeah.
That's what carding is for.
I think,
you know, it's get over it.
Yeah, I think you know, you bring up a valid point with some of the if the FDA does go through, I think immediately you're going to have a two-pot hysteria.
Yeah.
You're going to have a consumer hysteria of, oh, wow, I really like this cigar, and it's on the chopping block, and it's going to go away, right? But I also think that from a business perspective, you're going to see a lot of consolidation hysteria.
Yeah.
In other words, hey, that boutique was pretty good. How much is that entry-level fee for that FDA?
Yeah.
Right? Let me run some numbers, and let's rework a business plan. Or what I think is how I divide stuff up sometimes with the classic facings versus the boutiques. I think you're going to see a lot of consolidation by the bigger companies to take on some of the really good boutiques,
stuff.
which is a testament to, hey, that cigar was great. Right, or that cigar was good enough to capture X amount of market share for the bigger company to actually look at that. So I think if we were to say, okay, 8 years from now, we're going to do Stogie Geeks episode 1000 something or other, whatever number, right? If it was Joe D, he would know the numbers, right? You know, if we were to meet 8 years from now, I think to wrap up this segment, I think we're just going to see a lot of consolidation. It's not going to be as boutique-y. Or the boutiques won't have as much as a presence, which I think doesn't do the consumers justice. Yeah. Right? But again, it's not going to be where we're all stuck smoking pre-2008 stuff. Yeah. You know, it's not going to go or 2007 stuff. It's not going to I think we're going to see a mix, but there is going to be some hysteria. Yeah. In there from both the consumer and then that. And then you're going to have some people who are out of jobs, factories that are not going to work, or factories that are going to become acquired by some of the bigger tobacco companies. You know, I just think if you look 8 years from now at that, that's
they'll be bought out. The smaller ones will be bought out.
But that's the thing that, you know, it's when that whole thing came out and, you know, it was a big report, it was mostly about the vape stuff. And we got rolled into that. Like 38 pages of it was about premium cigars. Like I said, there's such almost like it's becoming almost like a cult following with cigars on things. Sure. And like I said, is that when you start pulling that kind of stuff from people, you will see the backlash of it. I just wish a lot more people would have went on, signed petitions, you know, and gotten out there and actually voiced their opinion on it, saying this is not what we want. This is something we would rather see. You know what I mean? But this is a community all working together in the cigar industry that we all need to unite to fight this, to keep what we love. Right. You know, I've noticed a lot, especially Rhode Island. There's a lot of shops everywhere. And everyone's almost cutthroat with each other that, you know, oh, you're my competitor, you're my competitor. And honestly, at the end of the day, you got to look and say, yeah, we might be different businesses, competitors, but we have one big enemy in common, and we all need to unite to fight that and rise up and actually get what we want. You know, it's America. I want to be able to smoke what I want to smoke, when I want to smoke it, and America. And seriously, but you do, and you know, it takes an army to fight it. So I would really like to see everyone kind of come together and rise up to try to fight and do something about that. Because it would be sad to lose some of, you know, I've been smoking a lot of the same stuff for 10 years, almost 10 years. Right. But there is a lot of stuff over the last few years that have become in my rotation of every. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And would I want to see those go away? Right. No. Right. If it comes to a time where something like that happens, will I have to buy up a bunch of cigars before they disappear? I think we're all going to have to do that. You know, but then it becomes a fight. It becomes, oh, how many boxes you got of that? Right. Well, I bought 3 of them, so I don't know how many there's left for you. But then you're going to have. You don't want to do that either.
You're also going to have a price rise if it comes to that. Yeah. If it comes to that, where X amount of shop has 5 boxes left. They're going to add, and it's going to be a lot of mass hysteria, which I think the industry doesn't need.
Yeah.
And I certainly think that the competition doesn't need, especially here in the Northeast. You got a lot of cigar shops, a lot of smoking down south as well. It's still entrenched in the culture of Americana. You know, enjoying a beer or a scotch or a cigar or some sort of tobacco.
Yep.
You know, and I think that the FDA doesn't, you know, the way they just want to categorize it, you know, it's almost, to me, I almost want to go on record saying, and I guess I am going to go on record saying that I wonder if some of the bigger companies have put the FDA up to this.
Of course they have.
To stop the floodgates of
look at the
boutique
uprising.
revolution.
Yeah, look at the uprising of that.
Yeah.
You think that, you know, some of these bigger companies, no names mentioned, you know, that's why I see your cigars in gas stations now.
Sure.
And you're selling them online cheap.
Right.
You know what I mean? And you will get the people that have been smoking it for years. They'll come and ask you, carry that? No, I don't.
Right.
The reason is because you can buy it at the gas station.
Right.
You can buy it here. You can buy it there.
Right.
I'd rather fill my humidor with more boutique stuff every now and then.
Right.
Because, like I said, people get smoked out of the same stuff.
Sure
they
they
want
do.
something new.
Of course they do.
So to try to take something new from someone, and I just find it very unfair. It's one of those things. It's just going to become a shame.
A shame. You've heard
shame.
it. You have heard it here first.
God
Brenda,
damn shame.
thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
I'm sure you'll
Well,
be
I
back.
can stay till 4.
Oh, you stay? Oh, well, you're going to do the
I
next
can stay
segment.
till 4.
Shit.
The next segment we are going to start is
I'm
going
staying
to
for the
be
wine.
pairing wine with cigars, so stay tuned.